Today we're looking at Apologetics Dr. Barry Conway from Cross-Examined one more time. This time I didn't have to read 100 pages of philosophical mumbo-jumbo. This is nothing so in-depth, this is just a little digestif to follow up my other videos which I've made in the month of July. If you're seeing this in August, that's because you're not a patron. I'm sorry.
Hi, this is Bobby Conway with Cross-Examine.
Wait, did I call you Barry again? I'm sorry. Yeah, it's Bobby. Bobby Conway. I swear, I'm never gonna remember that. I just don't care enough. Also, I bet not a single person in my audience noticed I got that wrong until I said so. So a couple notes. I think your noise gate is still cutting off the ends of words, but now something is also weird with your camera. I'm not sure what yet, but I'm gonna investigate this. This is important. Watch carefully as we go forward, and once we have enough visual input here to work with, then we'll begin the process of figuring out what's wrong.
To doubt is to be in two minds. That's because doubt splits the mind, leaving one unconvinced of beliefs that used to convince him.
Doubt splits the mind. It's just babble. Just pointless, meaningless babble. But that seems like enough for us to start looking into this. Let's see. All right, what do we got?
To doubt is to be in two minds.
Okay, so we got two of those frames. One of those. One of those. One of those. Two of those. Two of those. But look, the animation at the bottom of the screen, that's still working. See? He's frozen, but the animation isn't. So this isn't some problem with exporting the final video. So either he's exported this before and screwed it up somehow, either, I don't know, with some kind of frame rate conversion, but I've never had this problem with any frame rates I've converted to or from before. And it's so inconsistent. 1, 1, 2. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 2. 1, 1, 2. Yeah. No, it's super inconsistent, and I don't know what would be doing that. It doesn't seem like a frame rate conversion issue. I assume he's recording this with some kind of webcam software. 1, 2, no. Yeah, 2 there. Wait, 3. How many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. 4. There's 4 frames there. Yeah, see, that's working here. 1, 1, 1, and then this one's 4, right? Yeah, that's 4. Frame rate conversion wouldn't do that. I don't think so anyway, unless you did it multiple times at different frame rates, and you kept jumping between different frame rates and getting it more and more screwed up, more and more duplication. That probably would work, but why would you do that? It just doesn't sound that plausible. But yeah, I was thinking about his webcam software. Maybe that's doing something. Maybe it can't keep up with his video quality, and so it just starts duplicating frames when it can't keep up. Some cheapo garbage software that just thinks that's a solution. Let's look further.
Is to be in two minds.
Is to be. That was really weird. Oh, he freezes on that frame for 2 frames.
Minds.
When he snaps his head, like when he moves his head around fast, look.
Is to be in.
Is to be, and he moves his head, and then it freezes up for a frame.
Two minds. Minds.
And here he snaps his head to the side, and then it freezes up again. See? That's 2 there. 2 there. 1, 2. Oh, how many is that? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, 4 there again.
That's because doubt splits the mind. Splits the mind. Splits the mind.
That's really weird.
Splits the mind.
Look how long he lingers on mind. Splits the my. Well, it's only 4 still, so I guess it's only especially noticeable because it was a big gesture. It seems completely inconsistent. I really think this has to be some kind of a performance issue with the recording. I don't think this is an issue with how he's exported the video or anything. I could be wrong. I mean, this is new territory for me. I don't think I'm going to find a lot of documentation on it either. I don't think this is an issue that people run into all that often.
Leaving one unconvinced of beliefs that used to convince him.
Yeah, I think maybe Bobby just needs to invest in different software, potentially, or a different webcam. I don't know, but it seemed to be working fine before. His other videos weren't like this. They were perfectly fine. Has he changed something? I don't know what he would have changed. Well, I've got a smart audience. Maybe somebody in there can figure it out, because I don't think I'm going to figure this out. I think my advice to Bobby would be take your computer and toss it in the garbage can, for the good of yourself and for the rest of us. Well, that was a solid 4.5 minutes spent fruitlessly investigating something that has nothing to do with the video. You done been logicked? Look, in my defense, it seemed important at the time.
That's why doubt is so torturous.
Doubt isn't torturous. Doubt is just a little flag that you put on an idea. Like, yeah, I might be wrong about that one. High chance I might be wrong, low chance I might be wrong. We'll just keep an eye on that. Just monitor it, make sure it doesn't get out of hand, make sure we don't commit too much to that. It's as torturous as putting a category label on an email. Unless you have a desperate emotional investment in believing a certain thing. But that's just you being a silly person, so stop it.
It's frankly agonizing. And if you've never been hammered by doubt, I certainly don't wish that upon you or anyone for that matter.
Yeah, me neither. For very different reasons, though, because in your case, it's like, I don't want you to feel this. I want you to have an easy time mindlessly committing to an idea without sufficient evidential support. And in my case, it's like, I hope that you'll actually care what's true so that you're willing to drop ideas as quickly as you pick them up in accordance with changes in your understanding and just not worry about it. I would like for people to see doubt as a tool just to help you filter out true beliefs from false ones and to adjust their confidence levels in their various beliefs, which in turn will allow them to adjust their behavior accordingly. Your version of this is, I'm so sorry that you're going through something so emotionally painful. I hope you stop doubting soon. And my version is, this is emotionally painful for you? You're doing something horribly wrong. Fix that.
Doubt is a straight up doozy, especially when you can't get past your doubts.
You know, when I was younger, the idea that doubt would be a problem for someone never even occurred to me. Never even entered my head. I mean, obviously I was familiar with the idea of doubting things, it just wasn't a problem. And then I started dealing with religious people, and I realized there's a whole class of people out there in the world who are terrified of doubt, of not being quite 100% sure if the things they believe are true. For me, that was always the default state. I hear something backed up by some kind of reasoning and evidence that seems to me to check out, at least based on my limited understanding, and I go, okay, that makes sense, I guess I'll believe that for now. And then I hear something else and I go, oh, that contradicts what I heard before, this is new information. I guess that other thing wasn't true, don't need that anymore. The fear of doubt is something that only applies to someone who emotionally really wants to believe something, but whose intellect is screaming at them that they don't have good reasons. And even to this day, I find the idea that someone would ever be in that state incredibly weird. But it's a good demonstration that despite all the claims of the apologists, religious belief typically is not about following the evidence where it leads. It's about leading the evidence where you want. Anything to stop your brain recognizing the obvious bullshit. People who aren't doing that don't talk about suppressing your doubts.
For some people, doubts come and go, but for others, doubts come and grow.
That is so cheesy, man. Don't do that.
And this is where doubt can really wear the doubter out.
2 cheesy lines in a row. Please don't do that anymore.
As doubts multiply, the doubter can feel like his faith is getting away from him.
Yeah, I would imagine so. When your rational mind keeps telling you, hey man, you don't have any good reasons for any of this, it probably does make it harder to listen to your emotional mind, your faith.
Like his once firm belief is surviving by the flimsy thread of his remaining faith.
So what you're describing sounds like a person who intellectually knows it's all nonsense, but still has this flimsy thread of emotional desire getting in the way of just acknowledging reality. I have nothing but contempt for this way of doing things. Our society has way too much of this thing where people place emotion at a level of importance higher than reality, and I'm just tired of it. I'm so tired of having to deal with it, and I don't just mean in my YouTube videos, I don't just mean with religion, I mean in every aspect of life. People seem to have this determination to just not face the facts if they don't feel nice. I can't respect that. I can't even treat that seriously.
If you've never heard the agony of a doubter, Now is your chance.
No, I've heard this stuff all too often, but I'm not sure if I have in a YouTube video, so let's hear it all over again.
Several years ago, in fact, back in 2013, I received an email at 1 Minute Apologist from a teenage girl whom I'll refer to as Jane Doe. Jane was in the final stages of doubt, despair, depression, and darkness.
The final stages? Okay, this got dark. I'm assuming then that what you received was what was I supposed to call it? Self-deletion note? I didn't know that's where we were going with this. Maybe I should just end this video right now. But then again, I don't know that's what it is, so I better let it just play a little bit more before I make that decision.
You could sense it all through the tone of her email. Here is what she wrote.
Come on, Bobby, don't make this too dark. Don't make me have to abandon this video and make a different one. I want to see all the annoyed comments about how I spent 4.5 minutes trying to diagnose your video issue. I need that, Bobby, please. Please, man.
Hello, Bobby. My name is Jane Doe. I'm a 17-year-old Christian. I've been a Christian for many years. I've always had God inside of me, keeping me comforted. There's always been that comfort inside of me.
I know it's immature and all, but I just can't hear that kind of language and not think to myself that at the very least, this is in desperate need of an update.
But lately, I've been in what I would call a crisis of belief. Lately, I've been having doubts in my head about the Bible and what it says. For example, how is it physically possible for one to rise from the dead?
How much does this person not believe in God already? Because wouldn't the Christian answer be, it's not physically possible, that's the point of a miracle, God did it? Are we sure that this person sending you this email is actually a Christian? Because I know there are some very cheeky atheists out there who will pretend to be Christians to ask probing questions of Christians. I deeply disapprove of this form of dishonesty. Tut tut, get a piece of paper and write, I will not imitate Christians 1,000 times, right now.
Is it really God, or is it all in my head?
Well, no, apparently those aren't the options. The options are it's physics or nothing. The concern is about whether physically impossible miracles are physically possible. We seem to be taking a very distinctively physicalist approach. God doesn't seem to be in the picture, if that's the concern.
Why isn't God there to help me when I really need him?
To build character, it's a test. You don't really need him. You'll totally get through this one way or another, even if you die and have to go to heaven to do it. Maybe one of those excuses does it for you? I don't know why I'm offering them, though, because, speaking of dying, I'm no longer getting the impression that this is a self-non-existing note. Any of you who were on edge about this being a very tasteless video, you can come down off the edge now.
Doesn't the Bible have scripture saying that he will help?
Let's go with yes?
Sometimes the doubts are statements that electrocute my mind and belief.
Noise gate. Do you think he's adding these problems on purpose just to see what Frank Turek will let him get away with? Every video from here on out will just keep getting worse and worse by one step at a time until eventually the video and the audio are a complete acid trip. That'd be cool as hell. You do that, Billy, and you'll have my respect for life.
Such as, you are wasting your time, or you were believing a fantasy.
Yeah, you see what I mean about your intellect screaming at you that despite your emotional investment, you still don't have good reasons? It's amazing how good the brain can be at figuring out problems like this on its own with basically no conscious input or wish for it to happen. But then your emotional mind goes, no, I have to suppress this, I have to stomp it down, go away, go away. Yeah, all that talk about how atheists suppress the truth reeks of projection. These people have entire institutions, like the church, dedicated to suppressing on a weekly basis at least what on some level they're entirely capable of identifying as the truth.
And it's only a part of your brain that makes you believe. But it's not like I want to believe these doubts, because when I think of them, something burns in my heart and mind.
You might want to see a doctor about that heart.
My depression begins to act up badly. Lately, I've had many anxiety attacks about it, along with other stress.
Yeah, and one thing to keep in mind here is this is a 17-year-old kid. I'm being flippant about a lot of this, but the fact is this kid has been raised on purpose by someone to think that believing this garbage is the most important thing in life. That if this belief falls away, everything in life falls away. A sense of meaning and purpose, a sense of right and wrong, the feeling of security, the feeling of love, maybe even that her community will stop wanting to interact with her. She probably believes she'll lose eternal happiness and be rewarded instead with eternal suffering, even if the belief belief in God itself falls away, that's still a thing a lot of people struggle with. This kid has been told her entire life that doubt is the greatest enemy of a human being. Dr. Bobby's going to say later that it's Satan doing it. So doubt is something that literally the embodiment of evil plants into your head. Look, worrying about whether reality conforms to your every emotional whim is ridiculous. When adults do it, all I can do is roll my eyes and try to suppress my vomit reflex. Adults have had so much time and life experience and education and all the rest. They should know how to interpret reality on reality's terms, not in terms of their own emotional desires and fears. That's a pretty basic expectation. But a 17-year-old who has barely any meaningful life experience, typically barely any meaningful knowledge, whose only view of the real world has been through the distorted lens that she's been forced to look through her whole life, that I have a bit more sympathy for. Quite a bit more. All this unnecessary emotional turmoil that this kid is going through was created by other people, on purpose, and that's disgusting. And Bobby's whole video is designed to encourage it, which is also disgusting.
It's not helpful when atheists surround me in my school, too. There really aren't many people I can ask for help. So I'm asking you.
No offense, kid, but you could have made a better choice.
What do I do?
Everyone knows what my answer would be, so let's just keep going.
Because I am scared to say I'm lost. Wow. Can you sense her agony, emptiness, confusion?
Yep, and it ain't the atheists around her in her school who are causing that, or her reasonable thoughts on the rational basis for religion. These are just things that she was unprepared to encounter, or I should say prepared to encounter, by others in an extremely unhelpful way.
To our listeners, I'd say, perhaps her agony is your agony. Oh, how I wish I could have removed the splinter from Jan's mind.
I don't know if you're sincere about that or not, but the way you read that doesn't sound very sincere. Oh, how I wish I could have removed the splinter from Jan's mind. Maybe your video's not screwed up. Maybe you just move all weird because you're a robot.
And your mind. I wrote to her afterwards, but sadly I never heard back.
I'm rooting for you, Jan. Maybe you didn't reply because you figured all this stuff out and moved on with your life. If that's the case and you're watching this right now, email me. Maybe just forward me the original email sent to Bobby so I know it's you. It's a long shot, but it's worth asking.
Doubt can be hard to shake, especially when the evil one is behind it.
Yeah, see? Hey, Jan, all your doubts, that was just Satan. Any of the stuff you were thinking that clearly and obviously makes sense, just making sense, yeah, that's satanic. So don't do that.
Ambrose Bierce, the late satirist, once said, when you doubt, abstain. Don't you wish it was that easy?
No, if I realize, this doesn't actually seem all that well justified. I think I gotta have another think about this. Why would I want it to be easy to go, actually, you know what? I don't care if it's true. I'm just gonna believe it's this other way instead. And then be perfectly satisfied with that. Why would I want that to be easy? Why would I even want that to be possible? Well, there's only one reason, and that's if I don't consider truth important. If all I care about is emotional satisfaction.
It's not. That's why we need to remember Jude's words to us. Be merciful to those who doubt.
Merciful? As opposed to what?
There are lots of other teens out there who are suffocated by doubt.
No, Barry, doubt is not what's suffocating them. Having a couple little verifying questions about something you believe is not suffocation. Believing something that throws you into a desperate crisis when you do is.
With a lack of knowledge on where to turn, at the very least, we can be merciful to those racked by doubt.
Again, as opposed to what? In the absence of this advice, how would you be inclined to treat these people? What is the reaction you expect Christians to have prior to hearing you tell them this? And why do you think that is?
Knowing that they are tortured souls living in two minds and in desperate search of a unified mind once again.
A unified mind. Her mind is unified. It just has questions. Questions she's been taught to view as worse than a mortal threat. She doesn't seem to be two people in one head, nor does she seem to believe two things at the same time. She seems to believe all this is probably not true, and desperately want it to be otherwise. Wanting the world to be different is not being split in half. It's just how it is to live in a world that you don't find to be perfect. Everybody believes something about the world that they wish were otherwise. I don't know what to say other than deal with it. Well, that's basically the end of the video. At this point, he just says, yeah, subscribe to my stuff. And I don't know if you noticed, but there was nothing useful there. Even if you buy into this Christian idea that doubt is bad and needs to be dealt with somehow and suppressed, he didn't provide anything meaningful. Essentially all he did was go, yeah, so doubt sucks, and then that was the video. No advice for the audience really, aside from don't be a dick to people who are doubting Christianity. No help for Jan or anyone like her. Nothing substantive at all. In other words, a typical Dr. Apologist video. Well, thanks for watching it, and if you would, before you go, please do give the video a like and click subscribe if you haven't. And if you really like the channel, maybe consider supporting. Just a couple bucks per video or per month really helps. And huge thanks to all of my supporters who've already made that choice. For early access, email list.logicked.com, and I'll see you next time.